Hey guys, welcome back to Phyllisy. Today we're having grilled cheese and tomato soup. I love this tomato soup recipe because it's so easy to make and only requires a handful of ingredients. So stick around to find out how you make it. It only requires a few ingredients which you most likely have in your fridge or your pantry. Now I love tomato in all forms, and because Indian cuisine oftentimes uses tomatoes, I have a pretty big list to choose from. Sambar, rasam, chana masala, the list goes on. But it wasn't always that way. Tomatoes are not native to India, but instead to South America, specifically growing near the Andes. In fact, the word tomato originated from the Aztec name tomatl, which means plump thing with a navel. In the 1600s, the Portuguese brought tomatoes to India, but it wasn't used culinarily for another 200 years. Dishes were often flavored with things like tamarind instead. But because tomato plants thrive in warm conditions, they do really well in the Indian climate and are typically available year-round. To make this soup, all you have to do is saute onions and garlic in a pot for a few minutes until they get soft, and then add in your cherry tomatoes, or whatever kind of tomatoes you're using. Now, I like using cherry tomatoes in this because they tend to be sweet, but you can use any variety you want, and you have about 10,000 varieties to choose from, and not all of them are red. Tomatoes come in a bunch of different colors, even white. Now, I've never seen a white tomato, but if you guys have, let me know where I can find them. Oh, and did you guys know that tomatoes were once thought to be poisonous? It's actually not that crazy of an idea, and it could explain why it took centuries for people to begin eating them. Tomatoes are a member of the nightshade family, but while nightshade is toxic, tomatoes are perfectly safe to eat, along with some of the other members of this family, like potatoes, eggplants, and peppers. Now, to go along with the soup, I'm making a grilled cheese, because that is the undisputed best pairing for tomato soup. I'm also putting Granny Smith apples in the grilled cheese. I just love apples and cheddar cheese together. I think they work so well. You can leave the peels on the apples if you want, but I like taking them off so I can get a clean bite. I don't throw away the peels though. I munch on them while I make the sandwiches. Then all you have to do is slice up your apples however thin you want. I'm not going super thin on this one, mostly because I don't have a mandolin, and I didn't feel like having to do all that knife work. I'm also cutting up a couple scallions here. You could use onions if you want, but because the scallion is more mild, it really lets the apple flavor shine through. Of course, the apples and the scallions or onions are totally optional. You could go ahead with a classic grilled cheese and that'd be perfect with this soup as well. I'm using butter to toast the bread. I know a lot of people prefer mayonnaise because they say it gets the bread even toastier, but you'll see that butter does just fine. And I have done the whole mayonnaise thing before, but I think butter tastes way better. Oh, also, I like to toast both sides of the bread because it helps melt the cheese more. Next, you're going to add all of your toppings to the bread. I kind of messed up here because I should have added all the toppings to one slice. It would have made closing it a lot easier. And you'll see I had a little bit of trouble doing that later on. So when you make this, make sure to add all of your toppings to just one slice. Yeah, so this is where you could see that if I just added the cheese to the other slice, then I would have been able to close it a lot easier. But it was all fine in the end. The cheese still completely melted, as you can see in this shot here. I like to press down on my grilled cheese a little bit. This just makes sure that none of the toppings fall out when you take the sandwich off the pan. And see, what did I tell you? Perfect golden brown crispiness made with just butter. Just listen to how crispy that is. And that is it. It is a super simple recipe. It only took me about half an hour to make this whole meal. And it took me about 2 hours to research all those tomato facts. Let me know if you guys liked that and whether I should do more facts about other vegetables that feature in my other videos. Thanks for watching and make sure you subscribe.